Hi, I'm Alexandra, a traditional Catholic mom from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I want to share with you some of our Easter traditions and share the origins of other favorite Easter traditions from around the world in Father Francis Weiser's The Easter Book, Imprimatur 1953. As Easter week begins, we like to have friends over for dinner and make Easter eggs. We dye them using the kinds of kits you can find in a store, and then once dry, use any stylus-type instrument with a sharpened tip. Carefully trace the outline of the design you want, which will lightly scratch the egg dye off, allowing you to see the draft of your design. You can then go over it with a metallic gold or silver felt-tipped marker, tempera paint, or puff paint. Children especially love gluing decorative jewels with a flat back onto the eggs. We favor designs like the Auspice Maria, the Cross, the Chi Rho, Saint Benedict medal, Miraculous medal, as well as symbology of saints and Easter, such as lilies. It's so fun to sit at a table with friends and family, enjoying a warm drink or treat and watching what everyone creates. We also like to take candles blessed from Candlemas and create our own domestic Paschal candles by drawing the typical Paschal candle symbols on our small taper beeswax candles. On Easter Thursday, we make our own altar of repose surrounded by flowers and blessed candles, and watch an hour with our Lord with our missals and prayer books. For those of us far from chapels and unable to attend Holy Thursday liturgies, this is an especially treasured tradition. Easter Sunday, the altar then reflects the joy of Easter with an image of our risen Lord, and Easter lilies adorn our front porch and prayer spaces. Hot cross buns are a favorite way to break the Holy Saturday fast, the spices inside representative of the burial spices which anointed our Lord in the tomb, the cross of frosting honoring our Lord's sacrifice. It is said in a copy of Ye Book of St. Albans, it was reported in the year of our Lord 1361 that Thomas Rockcliffe, a monk attached to the refectory of St. Albans, caused a small quantity of sweet spiced cakes, marked with a cross, to be made. Then he directed them to be given away to persons who had applied at the door of the refectory on Good Friday, in addition to the customary basin of wine. These cakes so pleased the palates of the people who were the recipients that they became talked about, and various attempts were made to imitate the cakes of Father Rockcliffe all over the country, but the recipe of which was kept within the walls of the abbey. The time-honored custom has therefore been observed over the centuries, and will undoubtedly continue into posterity, bearing with it the religious remembrance it is intended to convey. Let's turn to some other Easter traditions and a deeper look into some of the ones previously mentioned by turning to Father Weiser. Easter symbols and foods. Among the popular Easter symbols, the lamb is by far the most significant of this great feast. The Easter lamb represents Christ with the flag of victory and may be seen in pictures and images in the homes of every Central and Eastern European family. The oldest prayer from the Blessing of Lambs can be found in the 7th century sacramentary or ritual book of the Benedictine monastery in Bobbio, Italy. 200 years later, Rome had adopted it, and therefore the main feature of the Pope's Easter dinner for many centuries was roast lamb. After the 10th century, in place of the whole lamb, smaller pieces of meat were used. In some Benedictine monasteries, however, even today, whole lambs are still blessed with the ancient prayers. The ancient tradition of the Paschal lamb also inspired among the Christians the use of lamb meat as a popular food at Easter time, and at the present time it is eaten as the main meal on Easter Sunday in many parts of Eastern Europe. Frequently, however, little figures of a lamb made of butter, pastry, or sugar have been substituted for the meat, forming Easter table centerpieces. In past centuries, it was considered a lucky omen to meet a lamb, especially at Easter time. It was a popular superstition that the devil, who could take the form of all other animals, was never allowed to appear in the shape of a lamb because of its religious symbolism. The origin of the Easter egg is based on the fertility lore of the Indo-European races. To our pre-Christian ancestors, it was a most startling event to see a new and live creature emerge from a seemingly dead object. The egg to them became a symbol of spring. Long ago in Persia, people used to present each other with eggs at the spring equinox, which for them also marked the beginning of a new year. In Christian times, the egg had bestowed upon it a religious interpretation, becoming a symbol of the rock tomb out of which Christ emerged to the new life of his resurrection. There was, in addition, a very practical reason for making the egg a special sign of Easter joy, since it is used to be one of the foods that was forbidden in Lent. The faithful from early times painted Easter eggs in gay colors, had them blessed, ate them, and gave them to friends as Easter gifts. The custom of using Easter eggs developed among the nations of Northern Europe and Christian Asia soon after their conversion to Christianity. In countries of Southern Europe and consequently in South America, however, the tradition of Easter eggs never became popular. The Roman ritual has a special blessing for Easter eggs. We beseech thee, O Lord, to bestow thy benign blessing upon these eggs, to make them a wholesome food for thy faithful, who gratefully partake of them in honor of the resurrection of our Lord, Jesus Christ. In medieval times, eggs were traditionally given at Easter to all servants. It is reported that King Edward I of England in 1307 had 450 eggs boiled before Easter, dyed or covered with gold leaf, which he distributed to the members of the royal household on Easter Day. The eggs were usually given to children as Easter presents along with other gifts. This practice was so firmly rooted in Germany that the eggs were called Deingeier, eggs that were owed. The children were not slow in demanding what was owed to them, and thus developed the many rhymes in France, Germany, Austria, and England, wherein youngsters even today request Easter eggs for presents. In England, this custom is called pace egging, the word pace being a corrupted form of Pasque. In some parts of Ireland, children collect goose and duck eggs during Holy Week, offering them as presents on Easter Sunday. 2 weeks previous, on Palm Sunday, they make little nests of stones and during Holy Week collect as many eggs as possible, storing them away in hidden nests. On Easter Sunday, they eat them all, sharing with those who are too small to have their own collection. The grown-ups, too, give eggs as presents in Ireland. In most countries, the eggs are stained in plain vegetable dye colors. Among the Chaldeans, Syrians, and Greeks, the faithful present each other with crimson eggs in honor of the blood of Christ. In parts of Germany and Austria, green eggs alone are used on Maundy Thursday, but various colors are the vogue at Easter. Some Slavic peoples make special patterns of gold and silver. In Austria, artists design striking patterns by fastening ferns and tiny plants around the eggs, which show a white pattern after the eggs are boiled. The Poles and Ukrainians decorate eggs with plain colors or simple designs and call them krasinki. Also, a number of their eggs are made every year in a most distinctive manner with unusual ornamentation. These eggs are called pisanki, from pisak, to write or design. Each is a masterpiece of patient labor, native skill, and exquisite workmanship. Melted beeswax is applied with a stylus to the fresh white eggs, which are then dipped in successive baths of dye. After each dipping, wax is painted over the area where the preceding color is to remain. Gradually, the whole complex pattern of lines and colors emerges into something fit for a jeweler's window. No two pisanki are identical. Although the same symbols are repeated, each egg is designed with great originality. The artists use rhombic and square checkerboards, dots, wave lines, and intersecting ribbons. The pisanki are mainly made by girls and women in painstaking work during the long evenings of Lent. At Easter, they are first blessed by the priest and then distributed among relatives, friends, and benefactors. These special eggs are saved from year to year like symbolic heirlooms and can be seen seasonally in Ukrainian settlements and shops in this country. In Germany and other countries of Central Europe, eggs for cooking Easter foods are not broken, but pierced with a needle on both ends, and the contents to be used are blown into a bowl. The empty eggshells are given to the children for various Easter games. In parts of Germany, such hollow eggs are suspended from shrubs and trees during Easter week, much like a Christmas tree. The Armenians decorate empty eggs with pictures of the risen Christ, the Blessed Virgin, and other religious designs to give to children as Easter presents. Easter is a season for games with eggs all over Europe. The sport of egg pecking is practiced in many forms in Syria, Iraq, and Iran as well. In Norway, it is called nek or knock. In Germany, Austria, and France, hard-boiled eggs are rolled against each other on the lawn or down a hill. The egg that remains uncracked to the end is called the victory egg. This game has attained national fame in America through the annual egg-rolling party on the lawn of the White House in Washington. Another universal custom among children is the egg hunting in houses and gardens on Easter Sunday morning. In France, children are told that the Easter eggs are dropped by the church bells on their return from Rome. In Germany and Austria, little nests containing eggs, pastry, and candy are placed in hidden spots, and the children believe that the Easter Bunny, so popular in this country too, has laid the eggs and brought the candy. In Russia and among the Ukrainians and Poles, people start their joyful Easter meals after the long Lenten fast with a blessed egg on Easter Sunday. Before sitting down to breakfast, the father solemnly distributes small pieces cut from an Easter egg to members of the family and guests, wishing them one and all a holy and happy feast. Not until they have eaten this morsel in silence do they sit down to the first meal of the Easter season. The nations of Central and Eastern Europe have other traditional Easter foods prepared on the last days of the Holy Week, blessed by the priest on Holy Saturday or Easter Sunday, and solemnly displayed on a festive table for Easter week meals. This blessed Easter fare is called Weiheißen, or blessed food, in Germany and Austria, Swekon or Swekonka, sanctified among the Ukrainians and Poles. The figure of the Easter lamb, which rests on a bed of evergreen twigs, is surrounded by colored Easter eggs. Around this centerpiece are arranged other foods in great variety and large amounts: Easter breads, meats, sausages, salads, cheese, pastry, spices, and fruit. The whole table and every dish on it are decorated with garlands and clusters of leaves, herbs, and flowers. It would be impossible to include in one book the traditional Easter fare of every nationality. Here are a few of the better-known dishes. The Russian Easter bread, paska, is made of flour, cottage cheese, sugar, raisins, eggs, and milk. It is put in a mold and shaped in firm, square pieces, about 8 inches high, with a cross on each side and the letters JC for Jesus Christ, imprinted in relief. In Germany and Austria, the Easter bread is made with milk, eggs, and raisins, and baked in oblong loaves of twisted or braided strands. Osterstollen. Another kind of Austrian Easter bread is the Osterlebe or Easter loaf, a large, flat, round loaf marked with a cross or an image of the lamb. In some parts of Ireland, people eat on Easter Sunday golden bread, which is very similar to our French toast here in America. A favorite Easter pastry in Poland are the mazurki, originating in the province of Mazuria, which are very sweet cakes made with honey and filled with nuts and fruits. And that was a taste of Easter traditions both here in Wisconsin and around the world. Father Weiser reminds us that these time-honored sacred traditions point to the larger theological reality of Easter, which he beautifully describes thusly. The feast of Easter marks the climax of liturgy and, with Christmas, the most celebrated of Christian seasons and holy days. Easter Sunday is a dazzling diamond that radiates the splendor of redemption and resurrection into the hearts of the faithful everywhere. Its various facets cast the brilliance of eternity over the twilight of time and enrapture the soul with the deathless pledge of a second spring. The keener are the eyes of faith, the more penetrating is the vision of personal immortality behind the veil of death. When Christ rose, death itself died. From our family to yours, wishing you all a very blessed Holy Week and Easter Sunday.